Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV there o say dem yopo
advance innocent so akwaba political analyst can you more
Mugabe mejo so
bibi abako de
na me adom ehia ya che
o te dan pare nka che
say odi police woni dem
odi police no hey
e woni dem
one aka say eye no homa no ye de tu ya beti ye fans wa nyesa fantastic bibi abako de
o nyame adom ho de ho pa
o fensu dware o
na bende se mesua o
kakra na dia na ekoso mo na mo social media TikTok ne ade bibi trend ana
I think that Mugabe ma menchia bebraya share menchia wati for me ba ha che ya na ne wano dos nti na ya no mo dia change but I had a fie but the one ne say nye yes ya ba dia ba fie I think that it's very important say ye guswa ye can say we need to also set the record straight because Mugabe the whole idea ye some first one say nipa betem ne ma say na say we make subsequent political decision choices bia na you be informed based on accurate information nema asi like odu ba bi na say nipa bi share na adwo so be share ato nsema gu mframam just to deceive people. I'm not sure say politics, you know, that is where we are. Politics in there, 1992 by Ghana for any BA. They want to do factual politics in that for. There is this thing, I know now, so you need be fair, you're very much worried about what could we never do social media. They say, Ghana, soldier for no call UN no. Or more. Say aban UN Piesika Kessia Momo, but aban for Sasika Nina, Fake to be Momo. See, some of this information are very sensitive, and this a war kind of one can you may end up inciting the soldiers against authority or the state, and then you now also threaten the infrastructure of democracy na you seeking to build a handle. So such misinformation, I say, you're shutting it down. Some people among for who say UN Jessica Buma soldier for Moko UN mission and Abanya fight. Exactly. And some of these things and sorry sorry or say Musika Mafadi doesn't work like that. Say that here Monoka saying UN operations in as for UN Nankasa challenge. American are now the biggest financier of UN. Exactly. Yes. US in the finance Afibia 1 billion your friends $1 and the conclusion. Donald Trump by or see American first policy and introduce you. And for that particular reason, you know, or withdraw the Sikana Kakra. So instead of 1 billion last year, he gave about $680 million instead of the usual way. So you and Nankasa on the challenge, but I drop it. I mean, it is almost standing. We are from Moba. You know, it's around 52 to your friends 50,000 soldiers. Or more reduced by 25%. Or more 14,000 Kofi. And it's a one I'm going to say, or more call we need to be fear. And Ghana by the be fear. And you and because of budget constraints, you know, what cut it down some of the soldiers. Kofi. What I say, no more coffee. Anti, so we are no free man.
You know, the say Trump was raising up.
Exactly, because his back and forth on the geopolitical arena, and why also be a winning the back and forth with the UN. Of which any American corner, that's why the Sikadia Momo and other financiers like China, Japan, France, or Musikano more about the US is virtually financing everything. And you know, Ghana soldier for UN, no. Senator Ghana or that long-standing your friends say we are the Asuda for the whole world. It will interest you to know say Ghana had the 10th country had more personnel echo for UN. Yes, and see, that has been there. But this is what UN does. They every day beyond Ghana for Suda for no, they pay them $46 a day. Ya only soldier may now call UN operational. Your amount $46 a day. Side your market so $46 no. Never say 30 days. All the time say ubenya averagely $1,300 to $1,400. That is what UN pays to Ghana soldiers. Now Ghana buy say 46, you know. I am paying every soldier per day $35. So 46, Ghana buying tia, so almost is like almost close to 80% of the money.
So we travel arrange.
Yes. And one year win $11 actually. Say $11, I buy the average $700 extra ticket now. I'm wakwaba. Answer abako you on operation. You know ko baby ko train for 2 weeks. And then we did the near money I buy it here. So Ghana buy will have to find extra cash to support so it's totally your fans and none of craze out of so from where I incite to say that for against your friends in the state because and yes it's very dangerous because you see some of these things your security very very important and some of the young people in our cannot turn a dreamer and I never be a cool you don't need a reason to do a coup because a child was here so I think that is very very important say you have this answer with the trauma for you and going forward maybe a $46 in credit limit because Donald Trump now you the second year for me you and Tom Banchi on Tom board there yes and you and Tom Banchi on Tom board there what I say Mugabe your friend say you and nigga on Tom board there on Tom Banchi when you so da kwakutia sasika member state de ba no e na ode eni nyuma enti when your budget controllers are there may cut it down nipa de bi nko na ebi ma ti so bi kwa to mo konto kan so mo nim so mo so beja so mo de and again I think that there is also another important thing I have to clear because na said who adebia social media branch say on the Nigerian hope na say John Mahama tam 10 billion e dey akwakoshe your friend say e sobe up the city na sa sika no nke betimi e dey yes, as a 24-hour economy. Now, this modern day, a journalist will sit on radio and advertise such sheer ignorance. It's very embarrassing. And no one tells you for a colleague. Na bisado say ade we menti asese na city e but daddy yakasa aban de sika e ba be shovel up dollar na asefo a enye say aban akota we bisika na sika na be sheme ya to bi na ayira it doesn't happen like that and that is a long standing your friends say monetary intervention we uko America there is something called standard swapping line with other countries who say US no try dollar but on to no he doesn't need any dollar reserve na but country outside US no hold the biggest your friends say reserve China that is about $3.4 trillion and this is what they does some person music is stable then because of they have that direct line with America no and we release dollar at the moment not with our system just to take care of the stress it is a long standing practice course of bagana here they say aban edisika ba aba be shame ama dollar na broswa the challenge is say one tree about no reserves that is a challenge but IMF when I know no your typical instructions at least let me acquire import cover 3 months there so now so say I'm not say Ghana ISCD that import cover and it means that there is enough reserve because of gold board and other monies are coming so government has the particular money in excess and sikano ya say ya kwakoche government and the sikano ba so that commercial banks will have access to dollar the Ghana government will take back the CD. And Abasana, you also mops the SSCD in the system. I take care of inflation. And I will say inflation is 6.3%. And I don't want to say, I'm not TV, radio, so advertise ignorance. Now, yes, because as you can it's just government exchanging the dollar for CD. Ebe masa we na stable. So you can say I bind the secure be we ma. And yes, sikana yira and I say, nke the you betin da ya for sikari nyanko be dey ya kasa sika. But just say government want to make dollar available to commercial banks. Obi be there any trade in as for them available. And when it happens so because the only time my dollar ebo kosoro then when people want the dollar and they are not getting it and then the man will never but when it is in the system the banks have access to some of these monies I don't think that is a problem and it's a challenge
we are the doing the what the better super on TVS said and also on power 97.9 FM you know Avanche innocent and so at na me call so on afi yam fa the akani so Avan over to you.
Mugabe I think that on ECOWAS Nina hinge on current development in West Africa and Africa at large and I think Obia are very much concerned about Africa's development to be a tunanino here the state of player you be very much concerned because obada sorry and yesi ku asi wo Guinea adiachi ku asi wo Burkina Faso ku asi wo Togo when these news spring up I communicate one thing a choice the fate Africans our democratic institutions because over around that a man for who democracy is just young to abandon ban the academy my way, and I think over the years I have quite fast use political power to abuse this democratic system as a form of a can be and a man for a lose trust and confidence. And actually Ghana I bet him the example and Ghana for Nasebi mature in terms of democracy and near my man for you coup around us in Ghana you came under the previous administration. The government became so belligerent, intransigent as or the castaway or baya we are dying and one obey. The government was not ready to listen to anybody. And to say near my way the man for lose faith in democracy and so around that. A lot of some of these things are happening because of Sanyama way, and it is very important. We must begin to look at these things over the years. Now, yen turn the narrative. Sebaya once again, the African will get that particular hope. And that last we say, I can rely on these institutions, these structures. I will be to me fire because I just everybody will become a law unto himself, and the pandemonium and chaos will continue just like we've been seeing in Africa. And again, I keep telling people, says I will hear Africa, open continent here, our enough potential. Human resources, we are the most valuable continent on the planet. When it comes to natural resources, we are the most valuable. And all two are now here on mind to say Nigeria. The whole world open my and the fertility rate higher it means alcohol young and crank to an and cry or my 2 pound Nigeria averagely about 6 to 5 and it's a heavy resources because everywhere in the world you need human resource and America and other place like Germany we had a rate at which or more running as if we are clearly in the next 20-30 years it's going to affect the economy because we and our economy. But Africa, unfortunately for us, the youthful population on the world, you find them in Africa. So when it comes to this resources, the most valuable resources that a country will need to develop, Africa, then come to think of the natural resources, gold, diamond, whatever you can think of in this world, it will be. And by understanding and poverty, I try now back down to this politics of greed as a form of Emma Sandeman and Nedi Yabrabum and Yawan Neman to Africans development. So going forward, we need to sit down and see going forward again here as a continent and I think so Ghana is here presently. Baby anayanam abrabo anayanam
tana kufa do penso ekwa afan kwa setina say
ya risky senka ye neku na ansi wo ha na John Mahama comes into the picture and 10 months after all had that kind of transformation that is happening in Ghana, you'll be inspired to do say, oh okay, say baby ana Ghana wo this is Maya. I'm a banner from the your friends saying commercial space. We could not even go to borrow money. Yeah. And Sika IMF a party $3 billion and are buying 2 gold board intervention to be generated over 7 billion within 10 months. And so certain people are thinking some intervention has been brought to bear. And again, Adiana Emma Ohiana attitude of my way, you say you copy all the statutory funding. Sikano Kogu Bebina Kwabrani did some one of the biggest, one of the safest way is to uncap all these. And now called this assembly there is a cash flow. I didn't see that number to my culture say you see your friend is saying cheap compound Afibia because the president has taxed them. Say Afibia we are making sure say we see your friend a cheap compound. Yes, it's because of the money has been released. What I say, and this way now what's in China where so what is the magic? Because baby and Ghana Gina all the credible rating agencies now right here out. And I am Moody's, Fitch, S&P, and downgrade junk. Na Ghana obo Ghana DNA. So 10 months after everyone is saying that this institution will write their score on Ghana. Now more rating and high. It means that something has happened. And Mugabe, one significant thing that you need to know is that until recently the inflation ended 53. Because a banner turn the Bank of Ghana into a printing press. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, printing system. Then, inflation, 24. Then the government comes come out with a certain intervention, some no can say your project is by the end of the year, you better end with either 8 or 7. Says here, and I'm 6.3.
If the fundamentals are weak,
exactly.
Exchange rate.
And so yes, then you come to debt to GDP. We were hovering around your first IMF, the way at the back somewhere around 100% because now your debt is so much. Say now you're into and I'm not your patch out. Say your debt to your GDP is around 45%. These are factual where you can't rebut them. Irrefutable fact. Said this is what is happening. Then the dollar to say it was around 17-16, and then you can see stability. So dollar is not just about aging of 10 or 11. It is about stability, so that the business community can plan. So in the next 1-2 months, let me plan the business within a certain frame. And for me, that is inspirational. I mean, ECOWAS, Tunisia, and other African countries, that they see the signs. And I don't know, my culture will be say, you see, the coming back of John Mahama, there is something that people know here. He has been there before as president. First one, they say, but the fact is that being there as president, he's very assertive. He's very bold in making decisions. Because being there, that experience is there. He has tried and tested. So there is no time for mistake. And anything that we say within a short period, or might move in a certain direction. 1 year without scandal. Because I know the war by nobody would do. Why would do about what you do? Exactly. Oh no, sir. But we are going to do. We are fine. Because that time I'm for them, I could for the name for Christian. We are time now. Go for the upper person, president. But yeah, the Korean man are doing some. People cannot be my agriculture. What I say, it is not about say the fact is I do the right thing. And for me, I think some of the interventions are binding book. For instance, appointment to enemy and look at the number of ministers or certain here. Yeah, by a certain ministry can say, yeah, by a Dumano Dawson. I could for the government and then that to be the most useless government in the history of this country. Another 4 project. And 4 years in the year. So these are Nema, Abano, something has changed, something fundamentally a change. I am a Ghana for who improvement and inflation, you're saying, and Nema Tolan as a forum. So, and there is discipline. The rate at which a government expended, Sikana Yamfa means a Muna Yamfa Yamquas, and a Yanko Bonquasia Musiama, a Kanatoy and so. So, Adia Kosubiano, Ghana for Nano, IMF say, a buying Sikana, what time or Bank of Ghana with a Baba set dollar, no. IMF Nanka say a Bonio. They say they wanted government to exhibit transparency in the way it is done, because that is a normal practice that is done everywhere. Then, in September, the government came out with a clear guideline telling people how much they are pushing in. Olaka says September I am putting 1.4. October I am putting 1.2. Last month I'm putting 800. So there is transparency. So you can't say abain papa. And yes, abain papa the only mistake. Abain only mistake. Okay, obeti na why you do. For instance, my man can do show. Lithium D whereby I think in the wisdom of the government, the office company na ko hit snag because there has been a significant drop in your friends and lithium sikano and the company no waje what in sign ko won't be jim free about also on yet and they are promising the party a bit too more free because as part of the negotiation they have to be relocated around for more away nothing is happening. Then the company comes to government say more I don't know no your friends we need tons near $3,000. It's a drop it to $2,200 and the akasi the boka. So that negotiation the course wa I didn't reduce about 5 then Ghana for so say daddy akufo the 10 buy kwa yesi mpena your friends and the yaman na ho enti Ghana for cancer I said abai let you say if that is what you are saying there you let us pause yankwa na Ghana for nko engage na yenyina yati ya ho ase a yankase yakase ya be no 11 dey na you shall pass. So abmamu wona na na no wa akonya na me na me abusuapanyin na nseburu na ade bedi eye nipa na de tumi ama wo lumba ye feze na abusuapanyin say ye do obi aka nyasasem bi ache no nti o na ye obeye a family settings you can do that nonsense but in governance Mogabi unti me di sanse buru no your mind no mind nipa na de tumi ama wo what I say you need to respect the people and abusuakonya. That is why yes anything sa issue no buy no the government and the ministry of the land apostle said then let us do a wider consultation say by ebaya nipa bete no ho ase enti ye move that decision will not be a sole decision of government but the people of Ghana are involved.
No bo Kofi Boabon.
Exactly.
Sorry, man, just a point of order. On say Sir Rashna, former lands minister, Jinapono, every year causing side deal no. Mugabe's only the record when it comes to mining, any Juma or mining communities. Those days, New Monteba Hafo, agitation say by and no Brahma ye be a new war. You know, contracts
2004, 2005.
How contracts are signed and all that. Compensation, you know, settlers, and no, and so to be a documentary. At the betray and sign him for Nadia to Muntisa or in any Jituma. None just said, Fianina or no enough room, yet Caquania Feminine or no Adiatu. And some of your sad documentaries in the rush. That they portray community crown or community na they mine in the crown for Bemo. That I'm Wakam. Yeah, you remember those days, New Month's time on Wakam back in the crown. Hardly do you of Wakam. Yeah. West Africa Association of Communities Affected by Mining. Yeah. And to know, say if there is a restructuring of the agreement, near go back to the drawing board. Fair enough, because we need to do proper consultation and proper community engagement. Okay. Because a sick pain. First, second, third, and many times say you could do a good deal with Krubiswa. You should yet the needed community engagement. So we say a kutia in 2 months actually, you know. Now at the whole agitation neighbor, a hundred albums they are not moving yet. But say you only need a good drinking source of water. It be almost by not saying
with social responsibility.
Social responsibilities, even the compensation I see at the moment per their crops. And their farm size in the crown, and you're near the mom. So, maybe this is Sanema Wayne and I can say a buying a buying papa, and yet a buying papa their own mistake. Now, mistake, how do you take from there? By making sure that you respect the people. Because governance, 2 million at the mount, and I had a resounding victory. John Mahama, Onya, it's all quite clear. Is a Ghana forward fed up. Now, no, make catch you. Say, West Africa in 2024. No, Ghana can rubio. By there was a democratic revolution. I got to about go binding in the form. Yes, because we want man for a t-shirt, I can't 9 pennies more yard 9 or in percentage in pay. 9 in the history of this country. When I lose elections, 9%. Now say a pay, I can't 9 pay. As I go in the party, Mugabe, because 9 is one of the biggest losses Obia suffer in the history of this country. You don't do a t-shirt and say 9 pay. It means you are endorsing that particular thing that we know. So for me, I think that baby are doing Menka say Ghana, yes, Dubai. Menka say mistakes, and I'm not saying everything is perfect, but you see, the purpose of who's a wako wedima to another which will be an original. Now, what will be aware? I think that there is a wide gap in terms of comparative analysis. And Ghana for a new will be and on West Africa. And then you have said the whole of Africa. A man for who said John Mahama, despite the difficulty and Ghana, he has been able to usher Ghana into a certain realm. I hope once again it's back on him. And to say a fan say maybe ECOWAS and because ECOWAS, many of the countries are angry with the way a man over the years, are standing as a white elephant, the same way EU and Fasobia Maso is like a useless entity of Fasobia. So exactly, so you need somebody who can bring certain will never be to bear. Every countries now, like Burkina Faso, they walk away from ECOWAS, you come from ECOWAS cry by so you need somebody now collecting all these in a quest for development as a united front Africa. Yes, because he has been very free with the affairs at Tuare and other countries. And I know Cote d'Ivoire, we had the Fractana engagement with them today. He's in Abuja and at several other places. Not clearly a choice that person because he has been there before, and that connection is how we know how that. So it's easy to connect. You understand? And with the depth of experience, I'm sure. Say, let us hope. Say, Yanuma, Yabomo bu about ECOWAS ne. You are if some for some mass over the years because the purpose for its setup we realize here and member countries require don't even respect it. So let us see say the hope and confidence that John Mahama has brought to this country can also be sent to say EU. Some Africa the kind of dignity here because Mugabe said Masiaka and continental where do we have to go outside
cap in hand begging. What I say, we don't need, because Samuel Jamfi at Gold Board has demonstrated clearly said there is enough wealth in this country. We can take care of ourselves without going to, because Yakopa man for just 3 billion. Now within a short period, it means over 6 to 10 billion. Our gold border. You need to respect that and you say yes, certain intelligence has been brought to bear. Some comic characters go on TV and they will tell you, so the air crossing in I abandoned in Shishaya de Gua, in Shishaya Bang, a bang, a winning Nansa, but tonight I could just for 8 good years. No one to me on far intervention by Kokra, Maubenya Son Faso, and Mamma for good, and you must see 2 coffee and Sana, so called intervention, so I am Fasoa. Yet to come and disicate this, to a cathedral. We are all, yes, single-handedly at Gold Board. That is the sort of intervention that they brought to this country. So I think there, and people wanted to wrap that particular thing by bringing a lot of silly ways or to talk Galamsey for gold. And I said, over the years, gold is not to free. First, not to go free. To me,
and I said jewelry shop.
Exactly. And I think there, some particular way I buy, yet me, I replicating other folder. A bit never, none make us even timber crown. We can go the Gold Board where make sure the government become the only source of export in this particular country. Abasa can come to government and several other ways. Exactly.
Timber board.
A timber board. And so if you allow people to do that.
Some policy there, FNPP folk. I don't know, so okay, even after the elections, some of them can't say Charlie. The way NDC, a craft and a draft Gold Board policy, no. A banisa no man huda. You know, I almost said that.
And I said, I agree. What is why I say, I have my son, like a few Canadians, some child, even in the position, look at the conduct of marketing. And
now you said your mama beat me. I know, but you know, you say beat me and 10 times saying.
Oh, I think nature is in his favor, because over all the indicators, economic analysis is being what by a basis. So I bet you justify where we are today. And I think the nature itself, you know, because we are not Ghana, never be another corner. Certain things has to be brought to bear. So we are quicken because not Ghana for here.
Fundamental.
Yes, now I'm for lose hope. Our democracy. And I okay on the integration, cool leader about Kruma. He became a hero. And that was very important. Yes, but Ghana for lose trust and confidence in this. Exactly.
But I say your mama.
But
it became a signal to practically leaders to say, so man set up no man what the people want.
Yes. And you know, clearly a choice about something has happened in this country, and a boost to Ghana for confidence, and not just about a sem kaka. Say I won't bother Mahama Baso without anything. I don't for quite taking serious, but there are factual realities a bit under peely whatever you're saying. And it's a bad gold board, a bad dollar, a bad way. So these are facts undisputed. Nobody can rebut them without any way there, which means something is happening. And for me, that is Adeba bringing investor confidence. And again, this institutions are making sure say we are lying. For instance, the judiciary over the years ruling free court by the biggest court of the land. Ordinary person because ruling with the non-saba ordinary people subjecting the Supreme Court ruling to intellectual scrutiny, and they will tell us non-saba ruling. A choice that we are investor, you be very careful. And into that most of our agreement with international obviously they don't want to use our court in terms of litigation. Yes, they want to use foreign arbitration or any other court because they do not have or the millions of dollars in their bow. Nigeria they will not allow that. That is why most of the arbitration we are quite. So I think that you certain all these critical institutions and agencies are very important. I think that John Mahama should stay focused and lay the solid foundation for a new Ghana that is about to take off. Because my culture Akufo-Addo era should be consigned as a dark pages in our political history. Nobody wants to go back. But going forward, in the future, John Mahama may be seen as the person who built the foundation for okay. I think that we see Babia Yadru in our politics in Wahoo. You need 1990 BM and I need 1992. So you can whip public sentiment. So tribal cast and nobody may play me as Antony me automatically more. and the people want to look at the real issues. And we are journalists now. What radio so now we can say men never say you can speak lies. Now get your way. Because people will fact check you and you to you say you are hollow. In some way cannot. And you have a basis. So it is very important to our journalist friends out there. When I'm a journalist, let me tell me a journalist. Say answer about the journal from so the cancer. You should know say you are speaking to discerning minds who will subject virtually whatever you say bear to critical scrutiny and fact check. So I know that they will not swallow those things. You cannot deceive the public now. And our engage them for credibility sake. We job on now we can say making sure that they all can what here. So we want to who producer not any other person engage them to explain the subject to you. So you don't maternity. Oh maternity because say Merida Hopa na about $10 billion in the hey that is pure ignorance, and I say ignorance beliefs, but to advertise it publicly is stupidity. We don't do that.
Journalism, we as hosts and then panelists, always when you sit behind the console, you are to educate, inform, and to entertain. Now, and you say, "Wow, be Ivan innocent at your Mondays, they always say me family squad in Niagara. A Janu Temusa. Very well, you know about Dr. Mary, we see baby, I will be a name, Yame, and can't go so I died of 4 Bija last week, ma, we all my year or sim, Yada, Yado Funina, as a chief of staff and impedi for mobile Yanano. It's sincerely Kajani acid, it's Excellency John Dramani Mama, and near Busia, Doya Moye, na Fedo, Abemon Penny Fu, Bibia, Yado Bibia, as and who National Sports Authority Board. Who is something D room na many the dean something the dean oh boy Juma well Avan here for a last one on a year pandai and afi for media no momo share time no so best atena don the made you idea okay so down the miss here fantastic Avan chance na don for me
yeah I think that the best year na see no say oh your politics now or say what the arrogance na sa nneema we be ya we ya na uhu and this is a political party that want lose power in a very shameful manner, but even in opposition they keep losing the numbers quite clearly. A choice your friends say they've crossed their Rubicon, and for me what the court did after examining all the facts the best year na but birimu bisa say oh na NDC a win seat bebre na we mo ye ne dan Mugabe enya asore na ye politics and you need to be very serious say a can number ba kokora na say wogine ye say wogifri min say man ko tena fie because opposition na oye no or the mfaso be na wo so a brabo na modebo apart from say yentena parliament say yemfanje nkwase a chinwe yem make sure that the proceedings will not happen. One of the MPs interview ka say their job is to sabotage parliament to sabotage proceedings because on one side they don't have the numbers to do, and for me that's very frustrating. And I keep telling people that unfortunately the NPP that is supposed to be a responsible opposition party that is not what they are doing, and that is very will come out with them. When they are in power they destroy, when they go to opposition they sabotage, and they are very destructive, very arrogant, and that is their nature. So Ghana will not sympathize with them with some of these things, and this ordinary they don't need this see for anything. I heard the posture, the conduct, like quiet and for some more say NDC decide to boycott this particular way. Supporters in Ankasa and the party the form because these people deserve no sympathy. And again, obviously, na numbers no money sabaya democracy inti. Numbers no money and I never mamma demo and papa demo because one person the Kufuado went to Kumasi and a man for bisa and say oh my yo crime more now among the Kumasi what their largest way no find saying one of the constituency Okoya almost Kwabre almost more per kwan or say Kokomiti you do about to na won to official baby and the people decided almost the Kokomiti be say want to Obama one now say one lose numbers in parliament so for me I think say the best year but unfortunately subsequent to that kwaya on faso o mo handle o mo ho parliament ni na se for no and ye nimguase because my culture Ghana for at politics I say you can't sway that tribal and emotional cast and get your way oko parliament and make sure say adwuma DS wudi as a critical opposition party that is what you do but now when they see all the scaffolds na course ni nyina no they could not even sit to look at bills in as for the government and the form man call money bomb now 15 way has been approved by that proportion in as a for it means the money in the sounds as opposition that is not what you're doing. And for me there is this propaganda circular that has been written for all MPP communicators no more than and parliaments is some of them are repeating the same thing or say more than 44 constituencies 44 polling stations in the core never understand a court na kase yan only way Mogabi because in the first place NBC arm for 44 nkwan the core so here your friends we live no music now I've seen the official they were asking for the annulment of the entire election because of said the credibility of the election was tainted. And again, court I catch the court to say after examining all the critical facts because when I be near Kenya we are the relief be a full say me fit for me deal no fama me so obi court no kwesa ademo na court no head name nyina no ka say baby aduru election is court no for because emra da ho say de to aba no man fa so a then what is your beef? And then you go could do press conference now catch the Ghana for say court near kangaroo court say a case court a kangaroo court I want to setting up because you the only person of any market with me chief justice on Friday conventionally Supreme Court entrance about within less than 12 hours and Panama could do what's a now kangaroo court na kofa former MP when you sue on the ticket of MPP ben better the judge at the man better your friends bench so in this modern day Ghana for civilized when you do some of this nonsense you think people have trust in your judiciary go to high court Akufo-Addo appointed almost 60 judges I have been here legal advisors for MPP as a political party they are all wearing your friends upon going to the court and you think we are joking say you can't say your court no kangaroo court so whatever way I say upon going no more whatever it is Mugabe these are the realities of Ghana for this Ghana court a kangaroo court Akufo-Addo setting up that kangaroo
so what they do
all packing with you see it's about seriousness say abayemu na say incumbency will favor you. That is one thing on NBC side. And the young guys are so serious. Almost ECD will never want to. I'm for the kind of pandayo. I'm for the parliament. Yes, I'm for the parliament. NBC the kind and capacity or non-facility in the show. But they are there already. So that is the seriousness.
Very well, madam.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, I PENDREAM TV.